Okay, I'm doing this. This is my third take, and Wendy will understand what I'm talking about. Okay, we're doing a video now about Grandma Chris, and I am going to make sure and screen share this time. All right, here we go. Okay, here she is. This is Grandma. This is Grandma Swenson, and this is actually, did I say Grandma Chris? This is Grandma Swenson. So this is Grandma Chris's mother, my grandmother, all your mom's grandmother, okay? And or grandma's or your grandmother's grandmother. Okay, so there she is drawing. And this is a little scene with Rosalie, who is Grandma Chris. I didn't know you could draw so well, Rosalie told her mother. I didn't either, Vida responded. How many drawing classes did you take? Rosalie asked. Not a one, Vida cheerfully replied. Vida Leon Fugal was born in Pleasant Grove, Utah, September 5th, 1902. So remember, we talked about who lives in Pleasant Grove. She was the second of 8 children born to Jens Fugal and Christina Christensen Fugal. The day she was born, her mother, Lavina, who was actually Mother of the Year 1 year in the whole United States, so she was quite the mother. Lavina the day she was born, her mother, Lavina, spent her time canning peaches and pears. So this is September 5th, so that would be about right. Everybody would be canning at that time. As night came, Lavina went into labor, and Dad went by horse and buggy to American Fork to get the midwife, Alice Steele, because back then they didn't go to a hospital. They went and got a midwife. That night, she was born. Vida's growing up years were happy and carefree. She recalls the day the well disappeared. So the well was where they would get their water, okay? The well disappeared when her dad installed the plumbing in the house. Kerosene lamps were replaced with electricity, and what an ovation when the outhouse was replaced with a real bathroom. So can you believe they didn't even have a bathroom indoors? They had to go outside to the bathroom. That might be one of the questions, so I'd remember it. All these things and many more were appreciated because they were family projects acquired through much effort. It took so much effort for them to get things back then. So like even water and electricity and a bathroom, things that we don't even think about because we have them. Like imagine, they wouldn't even could have imagined that we even have a dishwasher back then. Through this, Vida learned the real value of work. Vida had many school-time memories. The one of greatest importance was her first date with a modest, friendly, talented, sought-after young man in high school, Arthur Alfred Swenson. And if you watched that one, we did a whole video on him, who was playing the violin in the high school dance orchestra for the senior hop. The senior hop is a dance, and they called it a hop. That's kind of funny, isn't it? But that was the words back then. Senior hop, okay? And let's see, I'm looking here. This began a courtship that went on for 5 years. They were married on June 16th, 1926 in a Salt Lake temple by Joseph Fielding Smith and raised 4 wonderful children. So there are pictures of the two of the couple being very romantic to each other. The discovery of her talent to do charcoal drawings came through the Relief Society. So these are all charcoal drawings that Grandma Swenson made. And she didn't know, look at how good they are. She didn't know she even had that talent, but she did. So she had a Relief Society assignment when she was president of the Relief Society. They needed a large portrait of George Albert Smith, and they didn't have one. So she decided to try drawing it, and she just did a wonderful job with charcoal markers. She then drew pictures of the church presidents through David O. McKay, and there was a lot back then, so she drew a lot of them, which was an amazing thing to do. She also drew a portrait of her mother and father. So this is her mother right here, and this is her father, and then this is President David O. McKay. And I believe that these pictures are at Grandma Chris's house. So if you've been there, you've probably seen these pictures. Now they're in the Utah Daughters of the Pioneer Museum, which I believe is in Pleasant Grove. Julie, you can let us know if that's not true, but I think we saw them there. The miracle is that she never had taken an art class. She says, only through faith and trust in the Lord was I able to do this. The greater my faith, the more I was blessed. Well, let me get out of the way here. This is how I remember my grandma, Vida Leon Fugal Swenson. We loved going to her home. I think this is probably Debbie writing this. We loved going to her home. She always had things for us to do and would give us a penny to buy penny candy. Back then, you could buy candy with a penny, believe it or not, at the candy store across the street. She was a school teacher and loved to serve the church. She had many callings and worked in the Provo Temple. She especially loved to have visitors. When visiting one day, we were standing on the porch and were pleasantly surprised when Vida opened the door and exclaimed, "Well, cry in a bucket, look who's here." That was our grandmother. I remember that day, and we just loved her saying, "Cry in a bucket," and I think we kept saying that. I remember when we went there, she always had the coolest puzzles, and we just always loved the toys that she had there. She didn't really have a TV or anything like that, so we always found things to do. And I remember as cousins, we would go there for Thanksgiving, and she'd make the best Thanksgiving dinner. And I don't know if this was her or if it was Mom, but we all were fell asleep on sleeping bags in the dining room, and they were trying to get us to go to sleep. So they said that whoever went to sleep first would get a penny under their pillow. So that got us all to sleep, because back then you could buy candy with a penny. Okay, well, let's just review super quickly. So this would be the person who could draw without ever having to take even one lesson, okay? And she was born in Pleasant Grove, Utah. And remember, there were other people that were born in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and there are other people who live right now in Pleasant Grove, Utah. So that's something to remember in case that's a question. Her parents were Jens Fugal and Lavina Fugal. And how was she born? She was born at night, and a midwife came. She didn't go to the hospital. The midwife came, and she was born in her house. And the day she was born, her mother canned what? Peaches and pears. That's kind of a cool part of the story. And let's see. Also, remember that they had a well for the longest time, but pretty soon they got plumbing in the house. They had kerosene lamps, and that was later replaced with electricity. And then they had an outhouse, and that was later replaced with a real bathroom. And then remember, she is the wife of Alfred Swenson, and he is the musician. And so they were married by Joseph Fielding Smith, who I don't know if he was president of the church at the time, but he ended up being one of the presidents. So I think he might have been. And then remember, she is the one who drew all of the different presidents up to David O. McKay, because I think David O. McKay was the president of the church at that time. And then she drew pictures of her mom and her dad. And she says that only faith and trust in the Lord was she able to do that. So that might be a question as well. Okay, and then we might also ask the question, like, who was the grandma that said, "Well, cry in a bucket"? That could be a fun question. Okay, you guys, this has been fun taking you down this memory lane. So I hope these videos are helping you to be able to really be good at the games at our family reunion. I love you all, and have a great day. Bye-bye.